longest? No, actually, I'm going to take Vish in London. Hello? Vish, are you there?
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, sorry, I had the mute button pressed down. Apologies.
That's okay.
I am
It happens.
pretty psyched about being on your show. Yeah, it does. I actually had a real question. Well, real, like ultimate real, like the other guy was trying to say, like in the last show. But I had a question about basically when can you be too. Okay, before I go on, I'll just give you a really quick context because I know people give you stories about themselves like all the time. But so basically, I used to be a Christian for about a year, and then I started using my brain. Well, that'd be a bit harsh to say. I started being a bit more skeptical towards these things. And in the beginning of the show, you were saying something about being. Like why you were talking about the presidential stuff like that.
Right.
And, you were right about the whole thing about, being, skeptical is part of the whole atheist thing. And, because of being, skeptical about things, I stopped being a Christian. And yeah, so I actually wanted to ask, like, for example, with me, I find it trouble to believing things and, in believing things. And I know, for example, this isn't about controversial, conspiracy theories, but the thing is, I'm just going to bring up an example. For example, the first moon landing, okay, personally, I don't have evidence, which suggests that, that the first moon landing actually happened, the mission back then. I mean, I know this sounds ridiculous, you guys, and apologies for that, but it's kind of the case that, I mean, there's videos and things like that, but I don't know whether things have, whether things can be edited. And you know what? It's not even just about that. It's also about Jen. You're a biologist or a biochemist or something?
No, I'm an aerospace engineer.
Aerospace engineer.
And the moon landings happened, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. But it's kind of the case that, I mean, no, obviously I know that people have been to the moon now and stuff like that, but it's kind of the case, why do I know? And, it's kind of am I being too skeptical about these things? For example, if when it comes to evolution, if I saw, a whole, bunch of fossils, because the thing is that I don't believe in it at the moment. I know it sounds ridiculous, but at the moment I don't, until I actually go to, I planned a trip to the Natural History Museum next week because I want to believe it and I want to start believing in things. And it's kind of the case that I don't know if that evidence might be enough. I don't know. In that case, there'll be fossils, but will I believe that's it's until I actually go and people will believe it after seeing it, but I'd question if it's real or not until I actually made the discovery myself in a way. I
think a lot of people maybe misuse the word skeptical to mean I have chosen a position and I refuse to budge from that position regardless of what you throw at me.
Yeah.
And I think that Christians accuse atheists of having this actual point of view, and basically a lot of those arguments boil down to people saying, well, you atheists wouldn't believe in God even if God rang the doorbell and said, hi, I'm God, and predicted a bunch of things. But it is possible to be someone who calls yourself a skeptic and believe things that fly in the face of established facts at the same time. And I think it's a little weird to, I'm not sure if this is really what you meant that you're doing, but it's a little weird to be saying, I want to be convinced by seeing the fossils, so I'm going to go look at the fossils, and until I've seen them with my own eyes, I will not believe in evolution, but I think they're there and they'll convince me.
Yeah. Which, I mean, going to the Natural History Museum to, increase your knowledge is not a bad thing at all. In fact, I think it's great that you're going to do this. The thing is, if I understand what you're saying correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong. What I hear you saying is that you're struggling with how do you determine basically the quality of evidence that you're willing to accept when you didn't do the experiment or the thing yourself. And
kinda, yeah. I mean, it's not even just the quality of the evidence, because I'm sure there's people like the people who found this stuff. If they have, then it's like obviously they've got far more insight on the field, and I try avoiding these things at times because I want to contribute with what I'm good at, and so I try restricting myself a little bit to kind of excel at stuff that
avoiding weighing in on a topic that you don't understand doesn't excuse you from becoming more familiar with the available research on the topic. I think you can be skeptical of evolution, for example, if you just read creationist sites and you avoid gaining any deeper knowledge. But I think whether you're an atheist or a theist or a believer in a particular thing or a skeptic about that thing, it's a good idea to actually read the best stuff that the other side has to offer. And also be highly aware of straw man versions of that. I really enjoyed the show Bullshit a lot of the time when it was on by Penn and Teller. But one of the things that annoyed me most is that it was very obvious that they were cherry picking the most soft targets to represent the other side of what they were trying to say. And that seemed a little bit lazy. And similarly, I would say that it's smart to actually look around and see what do people who advocate for evolution say is the best layman's book to start on to read it. And if you haven't at least given that a shot and read what they've got to offer, then you shouldn't weigh in on it because you don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
And so, as an example of something Russell was talking about, where basically look at the best the other side has to offer, and then look at what, so for example, the evolution side says. If you go to the website talkorigins.org,
talkorigins.org, yeah?
Yeah, and if you go there, they've got basically the creationist claims, okay? And they go through each one of these claims, and they actually link to the actual sites where creationists are promoting these specific arguments. So they're basically linking to the opposition's arguments. So that's the sign of somebody that's telling you straight up, this is the deal. Here's exactly what they're saying, and this is why it's wrong. And then they present, links to things that you can check out. Some of these are like primary sources, like peer-reviewed papers, or things that have been reported, and written up, books, things like that. Like I said, the primary sources where you can go and read about the evidence yourself. And so part of what your challenge as a skeptic is to properly vet your sources, so that when you accept the claim of somebody that says, this is the truth, this is what happened, you're not being misled because this person who's promoting this claim is either not qualified to make that assertion, or they're trying to mislead you for some other reason.
Okay. That's actually really helpful. I also had one more thing. I'm sure it's going to be really small.
Okay, we are about out of time, so make it quick.
Yeah, it's really quick. Okay, I wanted to ask, how science is, well, not how, but I'm asking if it is. It's like they kind of check for results through consistency a little bit, right? If something is, So if there's a book, right, and it's doing predictions, and it's constantly getting them right, and it's being really consistent and accurate with it. Would that? How would?
I think maybe you need to formulate your question carefully and call back another week.
Yeah.
I mean, so would that be accurate? And would that be something to actually look at either way, or would it?
Well, you should look at something like that. But the other thing that's important if somebody has written something up and they're making predictions and they appear to be accurate, the thing you want to investigate is the methodology they're using to arrive at that prediction. So, because that's very important. They should be able to describe the methodology, and other people should be able to take that same methodology and apply it to a similar circumstance and come to the same conclusion. You know,
Right.
and that.
Oh, okay.
And if they can't,
So
then there's
it's about
something wrong.
asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's about
Anyway.
asking, like, you know, if a book just says shit, like, you know,
Yeah.
oh,
Seriously,
sorry,
we're
if,
at
if the book just,
this is the end of the show. Thank you for
Yeah, we gotta-
calling.
Alright, it's fine.
Talk to you some other
Bye-bye.
time.
Thank you so much for answering my questions.
All right.
Love your show. Take care.
Bye.